Hi, this is Edith, Instructional Innovation Trainer at Klamath Community College, and in this video I'm going to go over the advanced options in Microsoft Excel. The advanced options do have quite a bit of information, so I am doing a separate video for that. In order to get to advanced options, you would go to File, Options, and click on Advanced. The first section is Editing Options. Your first selection is after pressing enter, move selection. So you can choose whether you want to move the cursor down, right, up, or left. That's when you hit the enter key. Automatically inserting a decimal point will insert a decimal point automatically when you put a number into the cell. And then you can choose how many places you want that decimal point to be. Enable fill handle and cell drag and drop will allow you to move and copy cells and the data by dragging it. And when it is selected, you can also drag the fill handle to copy the data to the adjacent cells with a series of data. Allowing editing directly into cells allows you to edit by double clicking, and then you can edit directly into the cell versus the formula bar. Extending the data range formats and formulas will allow you to add items at the end of the list to match the format and the rest of the list. Formulas that are repeated in every row are also copied and extended. To be extended, formats and formulas must appear at least 3 of the 5 last rows preceding the new row. Enable automatic percent entry. Select to multiply by 100 all of the numbers less than 1 that you enter in the cells that are formatted in the percentage format. Clear this box if you want to multiply all of the numbers that you enter in the cells that are formatted in percentage format, including the numbers that are greater or equal to 1. Enable autocomplete for cell values. Completes text entries that you are to type in a column of data. If the first few letters that you type match an existing entry in that column, Excel will fill it in for you. Automatically flash fills, recognizes patterns in your data and automatically predicts and fills in the remaining cells for you. Zoom on roll with IntelliMouse. If you have a Microsoft IntelliMouse device, you can set the wheel button to zoom instead of scroll on your sheet or chart. Alert the user when a potentially time-consuming operation occurs. You can select this if you want to be notified when an operation affects a large number of cells and takes a long time to process. Use system separators. Select to use the default decimal and thousand separators, or you can clear it to enter an alternative separator. So perhaps instead of a decimal, you want to use a comma, which is common in the European countries. Cursor movement, logical. The insertion point movement will move in the logical order of bidirectional text. And visual, the insertion movement will ignore the text language and will move continuously to the right or left. Do not automatically hyperlink screenshots. So in some programs, you can actually take a screenshot and it will put in the hyperlink where you received it from. So this just doesn't allow that to happen unless you want to use it and credit somebody. Show paste options when content is pasted. That will bring up another menu. If you right click to do a paste, you have an option of pasting just the formula, the text, or something specific to that pasting. Show insert options buttons. Again, that is on that little right-click menu that you will see. The next section is cut, copy, and paste. The first choice is show paste option button when content is pasted. So you can select to have Excel automatically display a dialog box with special options when you paste, such as formatting only and linking cells or just copying over text. Show insert option buttons. You can have Excel automatically display a dialog box with special options when you insert rows, cells, or columns, such as formatting the same as above or clearing formatting. Cut, copy, and sort inserted objects with their parent cells. We'll keep graphic objects, buttons, text boxes, drawn boxes, and pictures with their associated cells whenever you cut, copy, filter, or sort on a worksheet. The next section is image size and quality. Discard editing data. When an image is inserted, the dimensions can get changed to fit into the workbook. So you may not want the image to have some information relating to the previous editing that was done. So this will take out that previous editing choices and help you reduce the size of the data. Do not compress images in file. If you want to have the image at the maximum quality, you can switch to turn off the compression. So if you don't select do not compress images in file, it will take the image and reduce its resolution, so it won't be as high quality when you have it within your spreadsheet. And then you can also choose the resolution to a different PPI. Pixels per inch is what PPI is. So if you want a greater resolution, you just go to the higher numbers. The default is 220. Print is the next section. And the high quality mode just gives you a better quality printing. Next section is chart. Show chart element names on hover. So basically, if you hover over the elements of a chart, you will be able to see what they are. Show data point values on hover. Displays the value of a data point that is represented by the chart, whether it's bars, lines, pi, and it just is another hover feature. So hovering just means taking your cursor and hovering over something. You don't have to click on it. Properties follow chart data point for all new workbooks. So custom formatting of data labels follow data points as they move and change in the chart. And properties follow chart data points for all new workbooks. You can see that I have a hover menu actually. This is a good way of showing you how hover works. So this means that any custom formatting and data labels follow data points as they move and change in the chart. Current workbook, you can select this to be book 1. It's going to tell you the name of the book here. And property follow chart data point for current workbook. Same thing as what you saw up here, it's going to be down here as well. Display is our next section. Show the number of recent workbooks. You can go anywhere between, I believe it's 1 and 100 to show how many recent workbooks you've worked on. So that's when you go to the file and open Excel, you can see all your recent workbooks. Quickly access the number of recent workbooks. So that'll be up at the first 4 are going to be the top ones that you've just recently worked on. Show this number of unpinned recent folders. Again, you can make a selection on this. It's just showing how many folders you have opened in the past so that you can get to them quickly as well. Ruler units, the default units is going to be inches. However, there is centimeters and millimeters that you can also add. Show formula bar. Now it's right here. Show function screen tips. Displays a brief description of the functions that you have selected in the functions list and will display when formula autocomplete is also turned on. Disable hardware graphics acceleration, reduces the resolution for the presentation display and increases the performance speed. That's all that does. For cells with comments, show no comments or indicators, indicators only and comments on hover, or comments and indicators. So no comments or indicators, you won't get any kind of notification that there's a comment in there. However, the indicators only and comments on hover, it will turn the top corner right here to like a little red triangle, and once you hover over that, it'll give you the message of what's going on in there. Comments and indicators, that would just show regardless whether you are hovering or not. Default direction, we're basically left to right. Display options for this workbook is based on the workbook that you're working on now. It will not affect all the other workbooks. So you can show the horizontal scroll bar, the vertical scroll bar, show sheet tabs, group dates in the auto filter menu, which changes the hierarchical groups of dates to a non-hierarchical list of dates in the list of dates at the bottom of the auto filter menu in a date filter. For example, you can filter just 2-digit years by manually selecting 2-digit years from a non-hierarchical list. For objects, show all, displays all the graphic objects, buttons, text boxes, drawn objects, and pictures, or show nothing, which hides all the graphics, objects, buttons, text boxes, drawn objects, and pictures. And they also will not be printed. Display options for this worksheet is the next section. If I had multiple worksheets in this workbook, they would all show up here, and I can actually decide which sheet I want these things to happen in. I can also apply it to the full workbook as well. I can show row and column headers, so row and column headers. Show formulas and cells instead of calculated results. If you choose that, you will only see the formulas. You will not see what the result of the formula is. Show sheet right to left. Displays the worksheet tab on the right-hand side of the application window instead of the left-hand side of the application window. Show pay breaks just shows the page breaks that have been automatically set by Excel. Show a zero in cells that have a zero value. So if you have no value there, you might want the zeros to show up. Show outline symbols if an outline is applied. It displays the outline symbols, and they won't be displayed unless the worksheet actually contains an outline. Show grid lines. That is something you can find under the View tab as well, and you can turn them on and off. You can also change the grid line color, so if you like blue better, you can click that, and these lines will turn. Formulas enable multi-threaded calculations. This is selected by default and it allows for fast calculations by using all the processors on your computer. Number of calculation threads lets you specify the number of processors that are used for calculations. This is defaulted. For this area, I wouldn't change anything unless you really need to. When calculating this workbook is the next section. Update links to other documents, calculates and updates formulas that include references to other applications. Set precision as displayed. This permanently changes stored values in cells from full precision, which is 15 digits, to the format displayed, including decimal places. Use 1904 date system, changes the starting date from which all dates are calculated from January 1, 1900 to January 2, 1904. Save external link values. We'll save copies of the values contained in an external document linked to an Excel worksheet. The next section is general. Provide feedback with sound. So this will play a sound if you have an error or you do something wrong. Provide feedback with animation. Displays worksheet movements and changes when you insert or delete cells, rows, or columns. Ignore other applications that use dynamic data exchange. Prevents the exchange of data with other applications that use the dynamic data exchange. Ask to update automatic links. Displays a message that lets you confirm before linked items are updated. Show add-in interface errors. Displays errors in the interface of add-ons that you install and use. Scale content for A4 or 8.5 by 11 inch papers. You can check this box if you want Excel to automatically adjust the documents that you've created to be a standard paper of another country's region. At startup, open all files in. Excel automatically opens files from the folder that you type into this text box. You cannot browse. You have to know the actual location of the file and type it all in there. Web options shows how the data would look when the data is viewed in a web browser. Enable multi-threaded processing. This controls all multi-thread operations except calculations. This will include sorting, row height calculations, and finding the best fit for column widths. Create lists for use in sorts and fill sequences. It displays the custom list dialog box. Data is the next list. Disable undo for large pivot table refresh operations to reduce refresh time. These are just time savers for pivot tables in here. These two right here. The undo, you can choose how many rows of data that you want to disable for. So perhaps 300 is too many. You want to just do 20. You can change the numbers there, or you want to increase the number. Prefer the Excel data model when creating pivot tables, query tables, and data connections. And again, another hover menu. These are really useful. So it'll allow you to use multiple tables from different sources in your analysis. Disable undo for large data model operations. Again, this is a time saver. That's all these are usually used for, and you can tell this is mostly focused on pivot tables. Disable undo for data model operations when the model is at least this large. If you find that it's too small or too big, you can change that here. Enable data analysis add-ins, Power Pivot, Power View, and Power Map. If you do data analysis, these may be useful tools for you, so you can always click them and then they would be available in your add-on information. Disable automatic grouping of date and time columns in pivot tables. Perhaps you don't want your dates and times to be grouped together, so you can disable that. Next two sections are with Lotus. Lotus compatibility. Microsoft Excel menu key. So in order to access the ribbon, you would click on this key here, which is the /. You can change that to anything you want. The transition navigation keys activates an alternate set of keys for the worksheet navigation, formula entry, label entry, and other actions. That's this one right here. Lotus compatibility settings for the sheet, or you can do it for the book. Transition formula evaluation opens and evaluates Lotus 123 files without losing or changing the information. Transition formula entry converts the formulas that are entered into the Lotus 123 and converts them over to the Excel syntax. And that is your advanced options menu. If you have any other questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to contact me. My email is warden@klamathcc.edu. My extension is 340, and you can find me on Skype for Business, Edith Warden. Just send me an IM, ask to chat with me, or I can do screen share with you. Thank you and have a great day.